across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Stand by for 3 compelling hours of news, views and topical debate. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Tuesday. It's Monday, isn't it? It's Monday. January the 19th, here's what's coming up. It's not the Tuesday, is it? I'm just wishing my life away because it's so rubbish. First, an extraordinary story that begs the question, why do left-wingers hate our national flags? Veteran Labour councillor Susanna Pressel describing the hanging of Union Jacks and St George's flags outside Oxford County Hall as, and I quote, absolutely appalling. And she called on police to go through CCTV footage to identify the patriots who repeatedly reflying Britain's flags and, I quote again, nab the bastards. What is it about pride in the UK's colours that this woman finds so awful? 0344 499 1000. In other news, it seems that Robert Jenrick's first serious rift with the Conservatives he has now left behind unfolded last October after he visited Birmingham's very Muslim Handsworth area and declared that in a 1.5-hour walkabout he didn't see a single white face. Apparently, Tory High Command was incandescent about Rob's revelation, dismissed it as racist and called for him to be thrown out of the party. In fairness, leader Kemi Badenoch insisted she did not see anything wrong with the then Shadow Justice Secretary making an honest observation, and renegade Rob survived. But doesn't this terror of confronting the truth about Britain's integration disaster sum up timid Tory politicians, scared of their own shadows and terrified of accusations of Islamophobia and racism? 0344 499 1000. No wonder Jenrick says that the problem with too many Conservative MPs is they'd be far more at home in the Lib Dems. He's right, isn't he? 0344 499 1000. Green Goblin Boris Johnson, for example. Migrants' friend Theresa May, Hugger Hoodie David Cameron, and so on and so forth. If you are a Tory or were a Tory, do you think these con-socialists let you down? Did they betray you? 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, another triumph for Kemi after she pledged that so-called traitor Jenrick would be the last of the Tory defections to reform. 3 days before Shadow Foreign Office Minister Andrew Rosendale joined the exodus and defected to reform, does Ms Badenoch have the slightest grip on this ongoing hemorrhaging of her parliamentary team? Her front bench parliamentary team. 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, almost unnoticed, the migrant crisis continues apace. Many crossed the channel illegally last Wednesday. More came across on Saturday and 138 yesterday. I'll give you the exact figures later in the coming hour. And still they come. And still the madness of Britain's balmy approach to this ongoing invasion quite simply beggars belief. How did an American passport holder manage to con the Home Office into putting him onto full asylum seeker status after he flew in from Las Vegas from that well-known war-torn centre of torture, the United States of America? 14 months of free hotels, free food, 50 quid a week, benefits and all those other treats we bestow upon our visiting illegal foreigners, and still he's still here. How crazy is that? 03444991000. Plus, the NHS nurse facing the sack for refusing to address a 6-foot-tall male paedophile prisoner as she or her. Jennifer Mellé joins me in an hour or so after the first day of her disciplinary hearing for allegedly breaking the confidentiality clause in her employment contract for telling her story of shocking injustice to the media. As Jennifer explained, that her devout Christian beliefs prevented her from playing along with the pedo's pronoun demands, he lunged at her and called her the N-word 3 times. Why is the NHS backing a racist child sex abuser over a dedicated nurse of 12 years' experience? What the hell is going on? 03444991000. Also, the sickening saga of woeful West Midlands Police Chief Craig Guilford continues apace. Now, after being forced to retire last Friday, the crap cop who skipped to the Muslim beat and banned Jewish football fans from Birmingham is threatening to sue for constructive dismissal. How low can this proven conniving liar sink? 03444991000. Plus, Anton Deck issue a grovelling apology for allegedly insensitively evoking suicide imagery. Stay tuned to find out the ludicrous reason. And finally, royal guru Kinsey Schofield on Harry and Meghan's deeply weird dance of love. Isn't it about time this strange couple took the hint and just foxtrot Oscared into the sunset? 03444991000. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now, on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Monday night together. Yes, it is Monday, but not Tuesday, as I said at the beginning of my fantastic monologue. So, on a Monday night, I am always joined, to my enormous pleasure, by Talk's fabulous international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Welcome, Isabel.
So were you saying it was Tuesday because you were trying to fast forward past what is supposed to be the most depressing day of the year?
It must be that. I explained that I was wishing my life away because it's so rubbish, but I don't think that. I think that's what it was. It's Blue Monday, isn't it? It's also the beginning of Davos, so I'm trying to put that out of my mind as well. I was thinking about talking about Davos, and I thought, what's the point?
I'm so glad you didn't.
Yeah. I also was thinking about talking about Greenland, but I thought, what's the point? Let's talk about some things that I think might actually interest our audience. First of all, this is an astonishing story that you brought in, as is your wont, Isabel. This is the story of Susanna Pressel, a lifelong Labour supporter who has been an Oxford councillor since 1996. She was an Oxford city councillor and then became a county councillor. City councillor since 1996 and a county councillor since 2009. So she's steeped in Oxford Council. Now, before we discuss why we're featuring Susanna Pressel on our show, have a listen to her. This was her addressing an internal Oxford Council meeting. What she's talking about is the Raising the Colours campaign. She's talking about the appearance of patriotic flags, the Union Jack, St George's flags, all over Oxford as they appeared all over the country. And Susanna is incandescent with rage about this. She calls the people doing this bastards, excuse my French, but that's what she calls them. And she calls upon the police to go through CCTV and to lie in wait, I'm quoting her, to lie in wait and nab the bastards. And in terms of talking about Oxford County Hall, the flags that kept going back up there. So they were pulling them down, and then the Patriots, usually from that Raising the Colours organisation, would creep in at the dead of night and hang them back up, fly them again. And she described this repeated re-flying of the flags as, and I quote, absolutely appalling. These are our national flags. What is it that she hates so much about them? Is this a window, folks, into the socialist soul, the left-wing soul? They just don't like patriotism. They don't like this country, and they don't like the symbols of this country, as in the Union Jack and the St George's flag. Have a listen to Susanna Pressel, councillor in an internal Oxford Council meeting.
Hi, Susanna.
Hello.
How are you doing?
All right, thanks.
I'm just a reporter. I'm recording. I just wanted to...
That's the wrong thing. Can we get the right thing out, please? Okay. Okay, Isabel, that's the wrong thing. We need to get the recording of Susanna Pressel. As I say, what she's saying is, can we not get the police to go through CCTV and identify these flag flyers who keep putting them back up, and then, as I say, to coin her phrase, or to borrow her phrase, nab the bastards. She thinks the flying of the national flag anywhere near Oxford County Hall is absolutely appalling. What is wrong with this woman? Oh, now Isabella's frozen. Are you there, Isabel?
No, I'm very much there. I thought we were about to...
No. We're getting the recording.
I'm not at all frozen. I'm pretty animated about this story. So, I mean, here's the thing. Oxford is right up there with the wokest towns and cities in the UK. I think it's on a par with Brighton as being absolutely nauseatingly woke. And Susanna Pressel, this veteran Labour councillor, embodies all that is wrong with that type of thinking. This is a woman who's made a whole career out of kind of championing asylum seeker welcome type campaigns. This is all from her own publicity material, all available online. And this secret recording, which we got courtesy of another contributor, lifts the lid really on the kind of things that these lefties say when they think that the world can't hear them, about patriotic, ordinary individuals that just want to re-establish some pride in our national identity. She considers people that want to hoist flags and remind everybody who we are and of our history and culture and heritage. She describes them as bastards and wants to use, and this is such a typical left-wing thing, she wants to harness the machinery of the state to track these people down. You know, bearing in mind Oxford, I'm afraid, is not some kind of, you know, peaceful, lovely place where no one gets their stuff stolen and there is no crime. I mean, unfortunately, Oxford has quite a lot of problems with serious crime, as does any other city. But Oxford has its own particular issues on some very tough estates. And frankly, the police have got more than enough to do pursuing real crime rather than being told by councillors like Susanna Pressel to go and, I quote, nab flag hoisters.
Yeah, she's incandescent with rage. We will get that audio of her talking at this council meeting in just a second so that the audience can realise what's going on here. But she was quoted also in the Oxford Mail. She lives in this rather nice road in Oxford, and apparently if you go there today there are still flags hanging up there. She called the people putting these flags up, Union flags, St George's flags, she called them racists. And as you say, she then goes on to call on the council, or through her position as an Oxford council, to call on the police to go through CCTV, identify these flag flyers, as you say, or as her quote is, nab the bastards. So there's two elements to this, which I think is classic left-wing politics. A, they can't stand patriotism, they hate the sight of our national flags, and B, anything they don't like, they want to start hurling the law at people, arresting them, locking them up. I mean, what for? For hanging flags? Really?
Just absolutely absurd abuse of of the government machinery. You know, this is the machinery of the state, and it needs to be deployed to the most serious things that it's supposed to be tackling. And that most certainly is not hanging up flags. But this is reflective of so much of the culture in the city of Oxford. You know, we were out on the streets of Oxford today talking to people about what they thought of flag raising. And it was really interesting, the contrast between what people said. Because on the one hand, for example, we spoke to a Chinese student and we asked him, what do you think about flags up in the city of Oxford? And he was quite bemused and sort of said, you know, I'm Chinese, I'm from China, where I come from, you feel a surge of pride when you see your flag. So, you know, I don't know what's wrong with the British people here. Yeah. Equally, there was a guy that we interviewed who described the flag raisers as despicable. And it was very clear that he considered the raising of flags as racist. He didn't use that word, but he didn't really need to. You could tell that that's what he was pointing at. And this is how divided we've become over this issue.
Well, here's what Susanna Pressel told the Oxford Mail. She was asked about the flags actually around her own home. She said her neighbours are incensed. She went on to say, they all say they would like these flags taken down at once. I have passed that on to the county council. I'll talk, we're still trying to get that recording. I don't know why we haven't got it, but we will have it ready as soon as we can. This is what she said. I'll go through the exact text of what she was recorded saying at Oxford Council. This is about the police. Can they not trace people who are using social media, or if flags are repeatedly reinstalled after we remove them, can they not lie in wait and nab the bastards who are reinstalling them so quickly? Because that's the sort of thing I would like to see from the police. Come on. I mean, what is she talking about? At least she goes on to say, when confronted, we spoke. She's been spoken to. She doesn't seem to want to apologise for any of this. We've tried to contact her this afternoon. We've left a message telling her she's going to be on talk, but she seems to have gone into hiding. Strange that, isn't it? But I mean, what I find so strange, this is a Labour veteran. You know, if you go onto the Labour homepage, it's full of praise for this wonderful servant of the Oxford community and all that. She went to Somerville College as a student in Oxford, still lives there, and she was a teacher by trade. There's a surprise. And you know, what is it? I don't understand, why is she so furious about our national flags? Because what she's saying is, you know, I could accept it, I wouldn't agree, but if her councillor said, look, what these people are doing is against the law and we really ought to enforce the law, something fairly reasonable, that would be fine. But it's not, is it? Let's nab the bastards, go through the CCTV, find them, arrest them, bring them to boot, you know, and all this. It's really odd, don't you think?
Well, we would like to have understood more about her thinking behind these comments, and so we made the effort to actually go and talk to her. You know, councillors quite freely publish their details online. That is actually sort of part of the job, making yourself contactable. So we paid her a friendly visit, and that was actually the clip that we accidentally played at the beginning of this segment, and we might want to show it again because I know we've got it. We paid her a little visit and asked her whether she'd like to explain why she called flag hoisters bastards, whether she really think it is a good idea to use the police to, as she put it, nab them. But it seemed that she didn't really have any appetite for explaining her comments, and she certainly hadn't thought better of them. You know, if she had sort of regretted what she said, maybe she was having a particularly bad day, she could have, you know, engaged with us and said, you know what, I probably didn't get that quite right. I really didn't quite mean it like that. I was having a bit of a rough day, and I love the British flag. And, you know, the simple truth is that some of my neighbours are frustrated for whatever reason it is, I don't know. But in the event, she just sort of sneered down her nose at us and wouldn't actually engage. So I'm afraid we're none the wiser.
Yeah, so if on the off chance Ms. Pressel is watching, the questions I want to ask her is, do you, Ms. Pressel, still believe that people who put flags up are bastards? Do you still believe that the police should throw the book at them, lie in wait and arrest them? And do you not feel that this approach to the flying of the national flag, arrest the bastards and all that, track them down, lie in wait, do you not feel, Ms. Pressel, that that is just a tad illiberal? These are the questions we need to ask. Listen, let's go to break now. When we come back, as soon as we got this recording, we will play it, but we better go to break now and resume this conversation in just a little bit.
The problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. We're talking about veteran Labour councillor Susanna Pressel in Oxford, who called flag flyers, the Raise the Colours patriots who've been putting up flags around Oxford. She called them bastards, nab the bastards. She called for the police to lie in wait and arrest them. She said that the hanging of flags around Oxford County Hall was, and I quote, absolutely appalling. It's a Union Jack and St George's flag. What is so appalling about it? Anyway, Isabel, you'll be thrilled to hear. Try to cast your mind back and imagine it's the beginning of the show and we've just started this item and here is, da-da, drum roll. This is Susanna Pressel addressing an internal meeting of Oxford Council. Listen, folks.
About the police, can they not trace people who are using social media, or if flags are repeatedly reinstalled after we remove them, can they not lie in wait and nab the who are reinstalling them so quickly? Because that's the sort of thing I would like to see from the police. Now, the ones outside County Hall, can we use our CCTV to identify who's doing that? Because that's absolutely appalling. And I think that might be enough questions to start with.
And as I say, there she is, folks. There she is. I think we precede exactly what she said rather well, but that was her in person. I think that recording is absolutely shocking. She went on to tell the excellent Oxford Mail newspaper, the evening newspaper there, that she thought that the people hanging flags in her particular road where she lives, they're still there apparently, are racists. So there you have it. A window, in my view, into the tortured soul of left-wing socialists.
Well, do you know what? I kind of feel like I know that road, not too far from where I live, actually. It makes me feel like going and getting a gigantic Union Jack and just laying it on the pavement outside her house, and let's see if that triggers her. And maybe she'll have some CCTV and someone will be, as she put it, lying in wait for me.
It's so illiberal, that. It's the way that, you know, when Keir Starmer hears people suggesting that maybe he presides over two-tier justice, two-tier policing, and maybe he's not a very good Prime Minister, he tends to have them arrested and put into jail. It's the same thing. It's what Labour people do. It's what left-wing people do. They go on about being liberal and outward-looking and all that. As soon as there's any sort of challenge to their authority and their brilliance, they start locking people up. They're about as liberal as Stalin, I'll tell you. Folks, let me know what you think about that. You've heard the recording now. You've heard the story. A Labour councillor who thinks the flying of Union Jacks and St George's flags is absolutely appalling. The people who do it are bastards who should be arrested, and the police should lie in wait and nab them, as she put it. Your thoughts, 0344 499 1000. Let's move on. We've got much more to discuss, Isabel, so we'll have to sort of speed things up a little bit. But let's go back to the Jenrick story. Jenrick, of course, was on Julia Hartley-Brewer's story, Robert Jenrick, on her show earlier today. Now, what we've learned, or what I've learned, or you may have heard it as well. Apparently, do you remember last October when Robert Jenrick, a very enterprising member of the Shadow Cabinet who went out and did things himself, like when he did the fare dodging film here in London. You know, he was making a name for himself by being dynamic. I remember you saying how much you loved politicians who did things like that. I totally agree with you. Well, back in October, he went to have integration, you know, community racial integration, religious integration was on his mind. So he went to visit Handsworth, the very, very Muslim area of Birmingham, where I think only 4% of the population are what you might call indigenous British white. Mostly Muslims, a little bit of people of colour as well, but it's very, very Muslim community. And he was recorded by The Guardian, but he stood by it, why wouldn't he, saying to the local Conservative Association, in an hour-and-a-half walkabout around Handsworth, he didn't see a single white face. And he said that was a sort of catastrophe of integration or lack thereof, and he didn't want to live in a country like that. He also said the area was as close to a slum as he could imagine. Now, those were his observations. In fairness, Kemi Badenoch, the leader, said, I see nothing wrong with my colleagues making honest observations as they go about their job. Fair play. Other top Tories, apparently there was consternation in high places, Tory high command, calling for him to be instantly thrown out of the party for what was seen as Islamophobic and racist comments. Now, my point about this is Jenrick was quoted over the weekend. I think it's a very good observation. He said the trouble with the Tory party is too many Conservative MPs would be far more at home in the Lib Dems. And he's right. I give you Boris Johnson, the Green Goblin. I give you Hoodie's pal, David Cameron, Hugger Hoodie. I give you migrants' friend, Theresa May. These people are not proper Conservatives. So he said too many of them would be at home in the Lib Dems. Now, when you hear that they wanted to throw him out of the party for going to Handsworth and saying the truth, I walked around that area for an hour and a half and I didn't see a single white face. You realise exactly what's going wrong with the modern Conservative Party. They are, as critics call them, con-socialists. They're terrified of their own shadow. They're terrified of being accused of racism. They're terrified of being accused of Islamophobia. And as such, unlike Robert Jenrick, they think the best policy is don't confront the truth about an area like Handsworth. Jenrick dared to do so and nearly got thrown out of the party. That cuts to the heart of what's wrong with modern Tories. Am I right?
Absolutely. What they're insufficiently terrified of, it seems, is electoral wipeout, of extinction, of political oblivion. And political oblivion is what happens ultimately to parties that lose all touch with the cohort that used to vote for them, and when they get into power, as this lot did for 14 years, betray all of those people. And that is what's happened. You know, the Tories are on the back foot after their 14 years of absolute disaster. I was struck, just to divert for a second, by Sir Connor Burns, who was a very well-known Conservative MP, with quite a senior Conservative MP, now coming out and saying that the Tory party was such a disaster in government that if it were a dog, it would have been put down. I mean, it's stunning to see all these Tories now coming out saying what a disaster the party was. Why has it taken them so long to actually admit this? They're newly liberated, as Robert Jenrick is. He can now tell the truth and is saying it as it is, and was saying it as it was those months ago when he was on the streets of that part of Birmingham, and he just told it as it was. There weren't any white people. I mean, that was a fact.
So their view is about is this these lefty Tories. Their view is, oh well, don't talk about that, even though it's true. Best not to talk about that because that could get us into trouble. You've got to confront the truth. We've got a serious integration problem, and Robert Jenrick tried to confront that. Too many Tories don't want to. Before we move on, this is Robert Jenrick on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show this morning, talking about the very problems that we're talking about in the Tory party.
The problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that, and it's got the same people at the helm holding on to the sort of past glories as they see them.
I think he's absolutely right. Just quickly before we do move on, the sort of establishment media seems to be now interpreting every defection from the Tories to Reform UK as a disaster, not for the Tories, but for Reform UK. I'm not quite sure how they compute that, but that is the line now. So my question to you is, Kemi Badenoch, who, as we discussed last week, has undoubtedly made the best of a bad situation. She did quite well with the Jenrick saga. She managed to seize the initiative for a while. But the machinations of what's going on in Westminster and whether or not Kemi found out that Jenrick was going to defect and clipped his wings and all that kind of stuff, all very interesting. But frankly, in the end, it's Westminster tittle-tattle. The truth is that last week, the two major Tory politicians defected to Reform, and to interpret that as good for the Tories is frankly asinine. And the way they're saying, oh well, if you get rid of the traitors, you're in much better shape. Yeah, fine, but you know that both lose. Zahawi, a lot of Reform supporters didn't like him coming over, but there's no doubt he's a big scalp. Robert Jenrick, a lot of Reform supporters did like him coming over. He's a massive scalp. And my question to you really is, does Kemi really have a grip on this unfolding hemorrhaging of not only her backbenchers but her front benchers as well. I mean, don't forget Kruger, another major Tory player, Danny Kruger, Zahawi, now Jenrick. And of course, after Jenrick did defect last week, Kemi very boldly stood up and said, well, it's good to get the traitors out. And that is, folks, the last of the big defections from the Tory party to Reform UK. I can assure you of that. 3 days later, as in yesterday, Andrew Rossendale, the shadow Foreign Office Minister, a big scope as well, defected to Reform UK. She is losing grip. She is not in control of this. And let's get this straight. I don't have any skin in this game. I'm watching it as a neutral observer, and the way I see it is big names leaving the Tory party, very big names leaving the Tory party and joining nascent upcoming Reform UK is not good for the Conservative Party. It is rather good for Reform. Am I right?
Well, of course, I'm not entirely neutral on this, but I'm going to try and be as neutral as I can and just say that I found it extraordinary that Kemi Badenoch would see fit to say that'll be the last defection. How could she possibly have known that? How could she not anyway have seen that Jenrick was highly likely to defect? I thought he was going to defect for months and months. I mean, ever since he lost the leadership contest, he was vulnerable. He was, it was quite possible he was going to do that. As for Andrew Rossendale, I mean, if Kemi didn't know that he was likely to defect, she's the last person who did, because everyone else seemed to know he was likely to defect. I would imagine there could be between 3 and 5 more. And I say that without any special knowledge, just as a political observer that knows a lot of the characters and can see what is happening to the Tory party. So I don't know when that will happen, if that will happen, but my guess is between 3 and 5 more Tory MPs will cross over. As I say, no special knowledge. Nigel Farage keeps this stuff incredibly tight. I'm very glad he does, because it means that I can't be accused of leaking anything. But that's what I think is probably a fair guess.
And if, hypothetically, tonight, every single shadow cabinet minister, shadow cabinet secretary and every single Tory MP defected to Reform UK, the Daily Mail would say, well, good riddance to them. Kemi Badenoch is much stronger without those traitors. She's much better off on her own. This sort of this deep allegiance to the old way, the two-party system. You always sense that papers like the Mail might prefer Labour to stay in power rather than Reform UK beating their beloved Tories. They've got to get used to the fact that, to quote Bob Dylan, the times they are changing, and in my view they've got to stop interpreting that this is the new way. When somebody defects from the Tories, we're hearing somebody from Labour might defect to Reform UK this week as well, they've got to stop saying, well, this is good for the Tories. No, it's not. It is not good to keep losing your front benchers and your significant MPs. It can't be good, can it?
The Daily Mail's having a really hard time coming to terms with this, but I think the process is gradual and painful. Their latest theme has been, up until this defection stuff, their theme was, well, you've all got to merge, you've got to stop squabbling and do a kind of merger. Look, that's not going to happen. What Reform is out to do is to destroy the Tories, not because of any vindictiveness, although I think we can all be entitled to feel pretty betrayed by the Tories, but because the Reform Party doesn't want the right of centre vote to be divided, to allow Labour or lefties to come through. So that's the agenda here. There's not going to be some kind of merger, and the Daily Mail better get used to it.
Absolutely, and Nigel Farage is no fool, as we all know, and he must keep on board. I know he's cognizant of this. The depth of betrayal that millions of Tory voters feel about what Cameron, May, Johnson and Sunak did to them over 14 years of treachery to the Conservative cause. They weren't Conservatives, they were Lib Dems at best. Labour, quite often. They were terrified of Labour. Oh, Labour, everybody loves left-wingers, don't let's us pretend to be left-wingers to the extent that we bring in left-wing policies and we let all the migrants in. Theresa May, let's pass a law to make it statutory, compulsory, that we get to net zero by 2050. What were Boris Johnson and all his green claptrap, what were they thinking? Nigel Farage must keep on board the depth of betrayal that the people of Britain feel about what the Tories did to this country for 14 years. If he loses track of that, he's in trouble, but I don't think he will. Let's go to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about, Labour pursuing the Muslim vote again. In, I think, the most egregious way. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
The problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still with Talk's international editor Isabel Oakeshott. We're going to go straight to the top of the hour, cover a couple of stories, actually 2 or 3. But this first one, Isabel, fury as the NHS tells midwives to back first cousin marriage because only 15% of babies produced by first cousin marriages are born deformed. Only 15%, so that's all right, isn't it? Now, this, of course, is the Muslim practice of first cousin marriage, which, for reasons that escape me, is not illegal in this country, even though it is absolutely guaranteed that the children produced by first cousin marriages are highly more likely to be born deformed with deformities than children born of non-first cousin marriages. This is a Muslim practice. It's fairly common in the Pakistani community in particular. The NHS is telling midwives to back this system of marriage, religious system of marriage, because the number of deformities in babies born by these marriages is relatively small, only 15%. This is Labour. There's been a long campaign to get Labour to make this illegal. Richard Holden, Tory MP, campaigning to ban cousin marriages, said there are no benefits to marriage between first cousins, only massive downsides for health, welfare, individual rights and the cohesiveness of our society. This is Labour, once again, terrified to offend the Muslim vote, isn't it? At the expense of newborn babies. Great, eh?
I mean, 15% is so high, you know, like, as a mother, if you heard that your unborn child had a 15% of a deformity, of chance of a deformity or a serious health issue, I think the vast majority of mothers would be incredibly concerned about that. That's more than, that's more than a risk that I would certainly be wanting to take. And I just think this isn't complicated. It should be illegal. We don't hesitate to make other basic things illegal, and that falls into that category. I just can't see any justification at all, actually, for continuing to turn a blind eye to this, and even worse, for the NHS to be encouraging anyone to say, you know, this is all fine. It really isn't.
It really, really isn't. What do you think, folks? First cousin marriage, 15% of children born from basically these incestuous relationships, often in the Muslim community, particularly the Pakistani element of the Muslim community, are born with birth defects. 15%. And yet there is no move by this Labour government to stop this. You know, this is ridiculous. It has to be stopped. Do you know what, by the way, let me know what you think, folks. 03444991000. Talking about the sometimes hideous heartlessness of what goes on in Westminster. I'm personally furious about this. Maybe we'll visit this on Wednesday, Isabel. On Wednesday, the House of Lords will, to its credit, try to block a vote by the House of Commons to make it illegal for anyone to protest outside animal testing centres, to make it illegal for protesters to demonstrate against vivisection, which is disgusting. We should ban vivisection, if you ask me. But, I mean, the idea to make it illegal, there they go again. These socialist tyrants who just want to lock everybody up, who doesn't go along with everything they think. It's got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, so lie in wait for flag hoisters, you know, condone vivisection, but don't outlaw marrying your first cousin and having a deformed baby. I mean, how does this all add up?
It's beautifully put. Exactly right. Listen to what Isabel just said, folks, and you let me know what you think. 03444991000. First cousin marriages, whether the Islamic community like them or not, must be banned. They're producing too many deformed babies. What do you think? 03444991000. Right, let's quickly go on to the migrant crisis, which, with all the very eventful agenda that's been going on since last week in Westminster in particular, but around the world, you know, Trump, Greenland, all that, we've sort of forgotten about the migrant crisis, haven't we? Well, Guess
No.
what? Guess what? Well, last Wednesday, 171 migrants came across the channel. Thursday and Friday, it was another 0 day. Don't forget, the weather is still terrible. So the number of potential crossings are being very hampered by the appalling meteorological conditions. But Saturday, 317. Yesterday, Sunday, 138. They're coming again. They're coming back. And still they come. So this Labour government, it's rather pleased about this busy news agenda because people aren't thinking about this because the Labour government has got no answers whatsoever. They have no idea what to do, and still they come. And I'll get your thoughts on that in a second, but we need to talk about a man with an American passport who incredibly arrived here 14 months ago on a US passport, an American passport, from Las Vegas, claiming asylum. Of course, he was escaping that well-known centre, war-torn centre of torture, the United States of America. He arrived here 14 months ago from Las Vegas and has been treated like a cross-channel migrant ever since. We've been putting him up in expensive hotels. We've been giving him 50 quid a week, free food, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, all the special treats that we like to bestow upon our illegal migrants. So he's been getting this. He's still here. He's still here. What the hell is going on? This is, this is a window, a snapshot of the madness of balmy Britain when it comes to these people who keep unlawfully invading our shores.
I mean, I'm getting an idea here. There might be some hard-pressed British people who decide that it's actually worth just popping over to France and coming back as migrants and, just losing their identity and being put up in hotels for a while. I mean, this is a complete and utter joke, isn't it?
Yes.
I've certainly not forgotten about this ongoing shambles. As you say, the only reason that the figures aren't higher already this year is just because of how absolutely freezing it is, bearing in mind that migrants generally have to wade deep into the water, the freezing water, just to board the boats. But Keir Starmer's record is already now the worst of any Prime Minister in terms of small boat arrivals. That is a shocking but not surprising record from a man who said he was going to smash the gangs and he was going to deport and one in, one out and all the rest of it. The reality, well, he's presided over the greatest number to come under any administration.
But wouldn't you think, absolutely right, but this guy, his name is, I'll probably pronounce this wrong, Olabode Shonirikun. Olabode Shonirikun, as I say, American passport holder, arrived here 14 months ago and claimed asylum. You're supposed to be escaping a war-torn torture country. That was the United States of America you just arrived from. You can't claim asylum. You can't demand asylum just because you lost a lot of money in Las Vegas. I'm not sure what the hell he was doing in Vegas. That's where he flew out of. And so he goes, claiming, yeah, fair enough then. Here's a 4-star hotel. Here's 50 quid a week. He should be told, no, you can't claim asylum if you're coming from America. Instead, we let him do it. He's still here getting all the perks. Unbelievable. Ridiculous.
I mean, whoever is responsible for signing off that decision, from the bottom to the top, should be fired. Without a question, it should be identified who agreed to this, which officials did the relevant interviews, because that's how it works, who signed this off, fire them forthwith, because that flies in the face of all common sense. They are not qualified to continue in that role. I mean, God knows who else they're letting in, if they're letting in people that have flown in from Vegas.
I read a story over the weekend, maybe I'll look at it tomorrow, about a foreigner from somewhere like Syria who came here and kidnapped and raped a woman. really badly, and got, not that you could ever do that sort of thing well, but, you know, it was a particularly vicious abduction and vicious rape. He got 19 years, and he came out, and 2 decades later, he's still here. Do you know why? Because they sort of forgot to look at his case.
Right, okay. I mean, I'm always forgetting about, you know, that kind of pressing thing in my inbox. You know, how? Why? I mean, the incompetence.
He just slipped through the crack. He slipped through the cracks. So they're going, oh yeah, we should have deported him, but he didn't really come into our in tray. It's just ridiculous. It's just.
Well, I mean, it's like that case that was highlighted last week of I think she was Bulgarian, the woman that was
the benefits lady.
One of the greatest benefits scams ever. I think it was sort of £54 million benefits scam. Yeah. She got in prison. She's earmarked for deportation. But guess what? She's not been deported. And here's the thing, folks. Not only has she not been deported, but she is living on benefits.
Exactly right. Yeah, she's getting benefits again. I mean, this country has just lost its corporate marbles. It really, really has. This government is presiding over the kind of keystone cops of Western governments. It really, really is. There's something badly wrong at the moment, and I don't think Keir Starmer is the man to solve that crisis. Just a quick word, I suppose we better talk just briefly about Greenland. What are your thoughts about old Donald? I've got to say, I know what would be, you know, I think you agree. I'm a big fan of Donald Trump. I think he's the kind of dynamic leader that we could do with. I like the way he gets things done. But on this one, with Greenland, I think he's pushing his luck. You know, saying, demanding, if you don't let me have it, I'm going to pay you. You've got to let me have it, otherwise there'll be tariffs being imposed on you. I'll tell you what would be fabulously liberating for Keir Starmer and the other Western leaders who are still trying to crawl up Trump's backside about this. It would be this, to turn round and tell him like it is. OK, Donald, here's the deal. You can't have Greenland. You'll never get Greenland. Get used to it, and if you don't like it, we don't care. Be a good policy, wouldn't it? That would shock him. He's so used to this lot over here, Europe, just bending to his will, that if we stood up to him, he wouldn't like it, would he?
My thoughts are it's not going to happen, and he's not going to invade Greenland, so should we just forget that idea? But secondly, I just don't believe countries are for sale. You know, they're just, I just don't believe in that kind of transaction when it comes to something so important. And I just think it's incredibly rich for Keir Starmer to be sort of making a big point of principle about, you know, it should be the destiny of Greenland should be for the Greenlanders and so on. All the while, he's the man that just sold off the Chagos Islands, only worse than that. He actually kind of sold them and made us pay for it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Couldn't agree with you more. Isabel, it's the end of the hour. Great to talk to you. Isabel Oakeshott there. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, in a little while, we'll be revisiting the sordid saga of crap cop Craig Guilford, the disgraced West Midlands Chief Constable, who, following his enforced retirement on Friday for ostensibly, allegedly, skipping to the Muslim beat at the expense of the Jewish community in Birmingham, banning Jewish football fans from Aston Villa last November for reasons that he made up, that he lied about. He was forced to retire on Friday. That in itself infuriated people because they thought he should be sacked, made an example of, but he was allowed to retire, full pension rights and all that, six-figure pension. Guess what? He's now considering suing for constructive dismissal. My question to you is, does this man have any shame? Are there no depths below he won't sink? Let me know what you think. 03444991000. We'll also be talking about Anton Deck later in the show, later in this hour, because they've been forced to grovelingly apologise for plugging their new podcast in a way that critics say has insensitively evoked suicide imagery. I'll show you why later. I think this accusation is ridiculous, absolutely absurd. But Anton Deck, showbiz people, terrified, have apologised. I don't think they should have said sorry. But far more importantly, let's deal with our first story of this hour, which is a very important story. She has become a friend of this show because she has been interviewed here several times. It's been an honour to have her in the studio. She is NHS Jennifer Melley. Now, you may recall her story. Something like 2 years ago, a paedophile prisoner was brought to her ward where she works. She's a dedicated nurse of 12 years' experience. She works in St Heliers Hospital, this giant hospital down in South London, not far from Wimbledon. This paedophile prisoner was brought in from his jail to be treated for a, shall we say, intimate problem. And he demanded of Jennifer that she addressed him by his chosen pronouns, which, because he's decided he's a woman, to identify as a woman. He's just a bloke, he's a paedophile. He demanded of Jennifer that she address him by his preferred pronouns of her and she. Jennifer said that because of her devout Christian beliefs, she didn't feel she could do that. So what she said, well, what name would you like me to call? I'll call you by your name. He took offence to this, lunged at her physically, tried to physically attack her, and called her the N-word 3 times. 3 times. So, what was the upshot of this? Jennifer was suspended. She remained suspended after 2 years. And the nature of her egregious crime now seems to be that after a while, and I don't blame her at all, so frustrated, so furious was she about this incredible injustice, that she spoke to the media. And the NHS is now saying, well, you broke the confidentiality terms of your contract, your employment contract, therefore you will be dismissed. Outrage. This is a great nurse. This is a dedicated nurse. What's she done wrong? What's she done wrong? The NHS in this circumstance, it seems to me, is siding with a racist paedophile, a racist jailed paedophile, prioritising or putting him over Jennifer Melley. That is an outright disgrace, and if the NHS go ahead and get rid of her, sack her, there's going to be hell to pay, particularly from this show. She joins me in the studio. You don't really need to tell your story now, do you? No, seriously, the reason Jennifer's in here, welcome Jennifer, by the way, always a pleasure to have you here. The reason she's in the studio today is tomorrow her disciplinary hearing begins. and they're going to go at you because you spoke to the press. You spoke to the press out of frustration because what happened to you is clearly unjust. You know, this man tried to attack you physically, called you the N-word 3 times, and all you said was, listen, I'm uncomfortable. I can't call you, because I'm a Christian, I can't call you a she or her. How about you tell me what name you'd like me to call you by, and we'll go for that, right? That's it, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So tomorrow at your disciplinary hearing, where they're going to say you broke the terms of your contract, confidentiality, what will your defence be?
Where we have the Supreme Court ruling in place, and I've expected them to say that we have the policies and guidelines in place now, and we apologize, and we're getting you back to work. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Having gone through this ordeal and going through Supreme Court ruling and all these proceedings with disciplinary, and speaking the truth about biological reality, and just being honestly to be fair. With all this, the uproar of the media, this is because my career is at stake. They have been referred to the nursing board, that I'm at risk of being struck off, my registration being struck off, never to work again as a nurse, and totally destroying my entire career I've worked for so hard.
And that's what could happen in the days to come at this disciplinary hearing. They might not only dismiss you, they might strike you off as a nurse.
Yes.
And you've received, through this 2-year ordeal, no support from the Royal College of Nursing. The only support I think you've received is from your fellow Christians who've
the Darlington Nurses Union,
and the legal
and the Christian Concerns Legal
Christian Concerns Legal Centre have helped Jennifer through this, and they've worked with us to get Jennifer's story out there. But you know, even if they dismissed you, which would be outrageous, what would be the grounds to strike you off? I mean, you're a great nurse, 12 years, dedicated. You love your job, don't you?
I'm quite shocked at the trauma and stress that I've had to endure for this past almost 2 years.
And they're still coming at you?
Yes, they're still coming at me and wanting to even ruin my Christmas, for that matter. But I believe I would have expected at least West Streeting to see, the urgency of this, and and take absolute charge, and and contact the trust, or at least make sure that these laws and guidelines are in place. Even so, in the meanwhile, at least reinstate me.
Let me just reiterate, folks, what happened to poor Jennifer. A jailbird, a prisoner, who had a condition in his midriff, shall we say, so a manhood problem, right? Comes into St Helier Hospital, demands that Jennifer calls him, she and her. Jennifer said, no, look, I can't really do that, it goes against my beliefs. What would you like? What's your name? What kind of name? I'll call you that, how about that? At that point he lunged at her, tried to physically attack her, called her the N-word 3 times, and the NHS is backing him and not backing its dedicated nurse Jennifer Mellé. What do you think about that, folks? 0344 499 1000. You're a mother of 2, am I right? Is that
3? Yeah, 2 girls.
I got the numbers wrong.
Yeah. Yes.
Your kids, are they grown up now?
Yeah, they're grown up, yeah.
Have they been a tower of support to you?
My first daughter, I said she did pediatric nursing, and she was quite severely affected by seeing me at home, and she resigned. She's really traumatized by the ordeal as well.
So she's resigned as a trainee pediatric nurse? Or?
No, qualified. She only served for 1 year. So now I've been observing me going through this, and did affect her in practice, and emotionally and psychologically.
So to support you, she's resigned. That's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've had the love of your family, the love of your kids to support you. Christian Concerns, I know, have been a great support to you. Your faith, I'm sure, was a source of strength as well.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if the worst comes to the worst and they do fire you and strike you off, I mean, what will you do?
I believe all things work together for good to those who believe, according to the scriptures. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ that He will make a way. You open new doors. Whatever happens, I'm prepared.
Well,
but I would love to really keep my job.
Well, excuse me if this sounds sacrilegious, but I hope the Lord Jesus Christ and indeed God sought it for you not to be fired and not to be struck off, because you don't deserve it, do you? Try to explain what you feel about this. I mean, you know, what your interaction with this racist paedophile has led to you being portrayed as the villain. What do you think about that? It's
really drained me a lot. I feel really drained, both emotionally, psychologically, and mentally. That my trust and the nursing board have let me down as a nurse that I've served them. I worked throughout COVID time and I never took a day off. And it's quite, disappointing to see that this is a career that we come into and then you're not supported. When trouble comes, we are the victims now. Well, we need great nurses, so it's just ridiculous. And Claire Coutinho, the Shadow Minister for Women and Equalities, to her credit, she's got right behind you. I know a lot of other politicians just calling on West Streeting, the Health Secretary, to do something about this. You know, I know that you or your people have reached out to Streeting, so has Claire Coutinho. What has been his response, basically? For West Streeting, I think that since the last time we heard from him that he wouldn't directly respond to me in particular per se, he responded in a sense that the trust should adhere to the Supreme Court ruling. That was it. And what about the Royal College of Nursing? Tell us about how, because you've spoken to me before about this, tell us about how much they have not supported you, your union. It's appalling to say that they are a union, because they totally abandoned me in the most crucial time of my life, of my entire career. And having visited them the last time, I've never heard from them again. So I tell you what this is, isn't it? I mean, you all have worked this out, but this is the NHS. You know, just as they fought, because you were with the Darlington nurses earlier today, weren't you, down on College Green near Parliament? You know, sisters in arms, if I can put it that way. And they're, just as you have, basically what I'm talking about, the NHS is sort of clinging on to its manic support of trans issues, the trans community, for dear life, despite the Supreme Court ruling. So the nurses, the Darlington nurses, the Magnificent Seven Darlington nurses, won their long battle, legal battle against the NHS, because the NHS said you're going to have to put up with a bloke in a dress sharing your private female space changing rooms, and they said no, that's not fair. The NHS said, well, you're going to have to put up with it. They were treated as pariahs. They too have fought a case for about 2 years. Fantastically, on Friday it was, they won their case. Today they're on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show. They met up with Jennifer to show her support. But it's the same thing, isn't it? What according to the NHS, to NHS bosses, you have sort of broken their sacred woke laws, and you have dared to suggest that maybe a bloke who says he's a woman but is in fact a child sex abusing racist maybe does not deserve our respect. But more to the point, if you don't want to call him she or her, that's your decision, isn't it? And but they hate that, don't they, the NHS? Yeah, they hate that, the fact that we have to speak up our mind and our conscience. You know, absolutely, they just want to diminish the reality of our, you know, of what, you know, about sex and
the reality of biological sex.
reality.
Yeah.
And wanting to just suppress our conscience and not to be able to say anything. But I can't refer to a man as a woman, and it's against my faith.
Well, exactly, and that should be respected. That should be respected. And don't forget, folks, that I don't want to go into too much into the gory details, but if you think about it, kind of difficult to start calling, hey, she, her, when the kind of treatment he was having, it was, to what is manhood, if you see what I mean. Ridiculous. If you're dealing with someone's a male genitalia, and you're having to call that bloke he or she, there's something quite absurd about it. But that isn't why Jennifer declined to do so. It's because of her Christian beliefs. Shouldn't those Christian beliefs be respected? What on earth does the NHS think it's playing at? Why are they victimising this dedicated nurse of 12 years experience? Why are they prioritising the welfare of a paedophile racist over the welfare of this dedicated nurse of 12 years experience? Why? What is going on here? 03444991000. Jennifer, are you nervous about tomorrow?
I have quite mixed emotions, and I've been praying a lot, and strengthened by Christian Concerns, a lot of support from the public, sending me messages and prayers. My church, Bishop Mark Nicholson, is my spiritual father. He's been really good with the pastors along, supporting me. So I've had a huge amount of support that, although I've been quite traumatized by ordeal, but it is keeping me really standing and
when
waiting.
You see, they're zoning in, of course. The technical reason you're in trouble with them is not technically, it's not your refusal to call this paedophile, this racist paedophile, she or her. It is the fact that subsequently you spoke out to the press. How long, because you did that brilliant interview in the Mail on Sunday, how long between your incident with this racist paedophile and speaking to the Mail on Sunday, what was that period of time?
I think it was at May, 22nd of May.
Right. 2024
up to until about I think mid-March 2025.
So my point is,
yes,
you left it quite a long time, but in the end, I'm assuming that your frustration and your anger led you to say, I've got to speak out about this for your own sake, for your own defence, right?
I was thinking more of, I have no support from them, no hope in what they are doing, no support from the nursing union. Had no option than to come and cry out to the public for help because of my career, my registration being at stake, being let down by the ones I expected really to stand up for me, especially the RCN.
Sure. So my point is that you didn't have this clash with this awful racist paedophile and then the next day went running to the press. It was a long time. You took many months before you actually did that, and that was out of frustration because no one was supporting you. Your union wasn't supporting you. The NHS wasn't even talking to you, even though they suspended you. So you felt that the moment had come for you to defend yourself and to tell the public, this is what's happening to me, what do you think? And I think you should be commended for your patience for waiting so long. And for the record, folks, I want to tell you, I just think what's happening to you, Jennifer, is an absolute disgrace. It shames this country, shames the NHS. What on earth do they think they're doing? They better not fire you. They better not strike you off. Well, look, thank you so much for coming in. You have my best wishes. You have the best wishes of everyone here at Talk. Knock 'em dead tomorrow. Win, okay? Win, yeah?
Thank you.
And we will we'll get you back either way. If you win, we'll get you back, and I'll turn you on to alcohol or something. We'll have a bottle of champagne or something like that. And if you lose, don't worry, we will not drop this case. Jennifer, as I say, it's always a privilege to have you in the studio. Thank you so much for coming in, and once again, the best of luck tomorrow. You deserve it. Jennifer Melee, folks. Just get on the phone, tell me what you think about this. I'm so outraged by it, and I think you should be too. 0344 499 1000. If we all go like this, you know, collective, positive thoughts, everyone. Let's all think positively that Jennifer's going to win, and then those forces will come together and propel her to triumph and victory. What do you reckon? 0344 499 1000. Thank you very much, Jennifer Melee. Next up, we're going to talk about that copper, Craig Guilford, the top cop who was forced to retire on Friday. Now he's going to sue for constructive dismissal, even though he's a conniving little liar. That next, stay tuned.
The problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk, if we must, about the, now former Chief Constable of the West Midlands Police, Craig Guilford. Craig Guilford, as you may recall, on Friday was forced to retire, and not at all a satisfactory end to his checkered career, but an end nevertheless. He had clung on to his job for dear life by his fingernails, as you know, desperately, with a massive, staggering, spectacular lack of dignity. Don't fire me, don't fire me. His problem was, of course, that he collaborated with the Muslim community. He skipped to the Muslim beat in Birmingham at the expense of the Jewish community, banned Jewish football fans from the Aston Villa match against Maccabi Tel Aviv, and made up and lied about the reasons. Last week he appeared at an emergency session of the Parliamentary Home Affairs Committee and lied there as well. He lied and lied and lied, and then collaborated, conspired with Muslim extremists in Birmingham to cover up the real reasons he banned Jewish fans. And the real reasons, not necessarily on his part, but on certain members of the extremist Muslim community in Birmingham, is anti-Semitism. nationalism, it's a dislike of Jews, it's a hatred of Jewish people. That's why the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were banned from Aston Villa. Nothing to do with the fact they're supposed to be terrible fans and that the Dutch police told Craig Guilford, oh, you don't want them in Birmingham, they're too much trouble. When Craig Guilford claimed that, the Dutch police said we didn't say anything like that to him. We didn't tell him that at all. Oh, I talked to my colleagues. I talked to my colleagues in Israel. Israeli cops. No, he didn't. We didn't hear from him at all. The man's a liar. The man has tried to lie and sneak his way through this entire situation. We were hoping he'd be fired because he deserved it. He deserved that humiliation. But outrageously on Friday, the left-wing radical member of the Labour Party, Simon Foster, the police and crime commissioner in the West Midlands, allowed him to retire and paid tribute to his wonderful career. Wonderful career. Man's a disgrace to the uniform. Anyway, folks, you're going to like this. Now guess what he's planning to do? He's planning to sue for constructive dismissal. He wants a massive, great payout, thinks he was wrongly made to leave his job. What is wrong with that little man? What is wrong with him? Let's talk to former Met Police detective Mike Neville. His signal's not very good, so we've had to go to the phone. But here he is. Welcome, Mike. That's not very good either, is it? Right, we'll have to try. We can't even get a phone line through to him. Right, well, we'll have to regroup and go back. As I say, this, just to recap, Craig Guilford, along the way, has lied and lied and lied. Last week, in a situation unprecedented for 20 years, it's 20 years since the last time a Home Secretary of this country expressed publicly a lack of confidence in a major police lead for chief. This guy was the police chief, the chief constable of the second biggest force in the land. That's the West Midlands Police. Last week, Shabana Mahmood said she'd lost all confidence in him. This was after he appeared at the Home Affairs Committee and lied to them again. That's Karen Brady, the leader, the chair of the Home Affairs Committee. There's little Craig Guilford there lying through his teeth. So this guy, as I say, when he banned the Maccabi fans from Aston Villa, it was a Europa League game last November. He said it's because the Dutch police told him that the Maccabi fans had been playing Ajax in Amsterdam a few months before, and you can't have them anywhere near your towns or your cities, they're too dangerous. Dutch police said, actually, we didn't say that at all. So the guy's a liar. Anyway, here he is chuntering away.
The Chief Constable, Craig Guilford, has today retired from West Midlands Police with immediate effect. In doing so, he has acted with honour and in the best interests of West Midlands Police and our region. I welcome his decision. I'm pleased this outcome has been reached having regard to due process and the law. That has prevented what might otherwise have been a complex procedure that would have caused significant distraction, impact and cost to West Midlands Police and the wider West Midlands.
That's the Police and Crime Commissioner for West Midlands. He is a big supporter of Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. He's a left-wing member of the Labour Party, a radical socialist who has backed Craig all the way. Now, I don't know about Mr Foster, but radical socialists do have a tendency to not be very well disposed to the Jewish community. I give you Jeremy Corbyn, who never misses an opportunity to have a go at Israel or, in fact, the Jewish community every time he can. So you've got Simon Foster there backing Craig Guilford all the way. The problem being that Craig Guilford is a liar and doesn't deserve to be backed, saying, oh, well, the media have made it too difficult and therefore he's going to, honourably, as a man of honour, he's going to retire. Should never have been allowed to retire, should he? Let me know what you think. I don't think we're going to manage to get Mike here, so bad technology here. We couldn't get him on Zoom, we couldn't get him on a phone call, but that's the situation. The guy, Craig Guilford, is now threatening to sue the West Midlands Police for constructive dismissal. In other words, he's saying that he was forced to leave wrongly, that he should never have been forced to retire. That's an outrage, isn't it? Let me know what you think. 03444991000. My basic question is this: do you think that Craig Guilford, conniving little liar Craig Guilford, should receive what will probably be a six-figure payout for wrongful constructive dismissal? Do you think he deserves that? 03444991000. Once again, just to recap, he pretended that the Dutch police told him that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans should not be allowed anywhere near Birmingham because they're very dangerous. The Dutch police said we didn't tell him that at all. He said, well, I've been in contact and been dealing with the Israeli police, about Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, right, by the way, they don't have a great reputation. They can be a bit hooligan-y, but then again, so can many other teams' sets of fans. So, I don't think they stand out from the crowd. They're not great, but they don't stand out from the crowd. They didn't particularly cause trouble in Amsterdam. They were leapt upon by groups of Muslims who announced that they were going on a Jew hunt. So the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans fought back. That's why that happened. The Dutch fans said that. They said they didn't cause the trouble. And we didn't tell Craig Guilford that he shouldn't allow the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to Aston Villa for that reason. And then the Israeli police said, well, he never even contacted us. And yet he pretended he did. One of the bits of evidence that he handed in to the Home Affairs Select Committee in Parliament was evidence from the notorious match between West Ham and Maccabi Tel Aviv, which of course produced terrible football disturbances, terrible hooliganism. He had to write to the Home Affairs Committee the day after he appeared last Tuesday, I think it was, early last week, to say, oh yeah, sorry about that, that match didn't actually happen. That was that was the police gaming potential trouble by inventing a match between West Ham and Maccabi Tel Aviv on AI, artificial intelligence. So he entered into the Parliamentary Committee, the Home Affairs Select Committee, evidence about the terrible violence that unfolded. And when West Ham played Maccabi Tel Aviv, West Ham didn't play Maccabi Tel Aviv. That match was invented by AI, by cops gaming the situation. He entered that evidence into the Birmingham Safety Advisory Council as well, who were the people that he told will have to ban the Jewish fans. This guy basically skipped to the Muslim beat. He also said that the Muslim community told him that if he let the Jewish fans in, they would attack them with weapons. There would be a war on the streets. And when he was asked at the committee last week, why didn't you mention that before? It's the first time you mentioned it. He said, well, no one asked me. So what he should have done is arrest those people. When the Muslim community said we're going to attack the Jews with weapons, he should have been arrested. It's against the law. You can't threaten to attack people with weapons. Instead, he goes, OK, I'll ban the fans. He skipped to the Muslim beat at the expense of the Jewish community, at the expense of those Jewish football fans' right to follow their team and attend a match between their team and Aston Villa at Villa Park. That's what he did. Does he deserve a six-figure payout, compensation for constructive dismissal? Let me know. 0344 499 1000. Let's go to break now. When we come back, an extraordinary story. This is about talkTV. TV's top duo, Ant and Dec. They've got a podcast coming out. It's called Hanging Around with Ant and Dec, and they created some artwork to illustrate that. And that artwork has now had to be rescinded, axed, and the double act, Ant and Dec, have apologised for it. Find out why after this break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Sorry we couldn't get Mike Neville there. I'm determined to I'll get him on tomorrow and we'll get his pearls of wisdom about what's going on with Craig Guilford. In the meantime, love to hear from what you think. Does that guy deserve a six-figure payout? 03444991000. A lot of people think he deserves to be prosecuted for malfeasance in a public office. You can't lie to Parliament, particularly if you're a Chief Constable. Also, the Police Complaints Commission, the watchdog, the police watchdog, the IOPCC, is now investigating him for potential professional misconduct. So all that's going on with him. 03444991000. Let's talk about Ant and Dec. Ant and Dec, of course, ITV's most popular duo, TV's most popular duo. They've got into the podcast market. They're producing a great big podcast called Hanging Around with Ant and Dec. To promote this, they came up with this artwork, which I hope we're going to show you now. It was them, the two of them, hanging from a washing line. Have we got that there? Can we have a look at that? There they are. So hanging out with Ant and Dec. So there they are, hanging off a washing line along with the other washing. You can see their feet dangling above the ground. Critics immediately said that this picture, this image, it evoked suicide imagery insensitively and was an outrage. Ant and Dec immediately apologised and axed it, got rid of it all. But I would say, come on. You know, my question to you is, don't you think that what Ant and Dec should have said is, don't be ridiculous, we're not going to apologise for this. This is ridiculous. Why is that? Why does that insensitively evoke suicide? They're on a washing line. Whoever committed suicide by hanging themselves on a washing line? If so, unlikely to succeed, right? Clothes pegs don't usually feature in suicide. Let's talk to comedian Paul Cox. Hello, Paul.
Hey Kevin, great to see you again. How you doing?
Yeah, pleasure to have you on board, Paul. This is quite a serious story, though. Although it contains the hilarious duo. I do like Ant and Dec. They're very talented. Good for them.
Yeah.
They've gone into the podcast market, hanging out with Ant and Dec, and there they are on that washing line. And they've had to apologise for that. We're really sorry. They've had to axe that imagery because critics say that evokes suicide imagery and is incredibly insensitive. Does that evoke suicide imagery to you? These people, I would suggest, these critics say, how dare you, Ant and Dec? They're what you call offence archaeologists, looking for trouble, looking for shit to complain about all the time, right?
Absolutely. And I'm kind of hoping that these days are sort of getting behind us, Kevin. But for now, they're still here. Look, if you see that image and think of suicide, I would posit to you that that is your problem. There is nothing suicidal about that. If I hung myself on a washing line with pegs, the only thing that's going to die is the washing line. That there's no chance that that is invoking anything. And we've got to a point now where we've so soaked up the minority view and made decisions on it that we're now starting to look ridiculous as a society. I understand, look, Ant and Dec are great. I understand they've got to apologise. The reason they've got to apologise is because they need to appeal to as many people as possible. Personally, I wouldn't apologise for this. There's no need to apologise. If you apologise and you're essentially saying to those that said there was a problem that there might well be a problem, what it is a grift. And the problem here is that there is genuine, particularly at this time of year, let's face it, Kevin, there are people who are feeling incredibly low, they're having mental health crises, and this is not helping them at all. Talking this up as if this is triggering in some way is an absolute nonsense. And like I say, this is a grift. I can't understand why anyone would look at that and think anything else other than the people involved are trying to make something of it that's just not there.
Yeah, the people who are looking for offence, and as Ricky Gervais so eruditely points out, the problem with when we talk about causing offence is this: just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. And I would suggest that people offended by this completely harmless image of Ant and Dec hanging on a washing line, they may be offended, but they're not right. Ant and Dec, so Katie Wazel, former X Factor contestant, mental health advocate too, she described the video as, quotes, triggering, insensitive, and frankly, reckless to push out as entertainment. The opening visual of feet suspended above the ground is not a harmless play on words. The suicide imagery is impossible to ignore. Insensitive, triggering, poor taste, evoking suicide image insensitively. This, to my mind, Paul, proves that in the future, probably within about a year, these kind of people who complain about this will have discovered a reason to ban absolutely everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I don't know this lady, and I'm sure she means well. At least I hope she means well. So let's give her that at least. But she's trying to carve out some media attention here. It is entirely possible to avoid seeing any suicidal imagery in that image. It's Ant and Dec, for goodness sake. These are two jolly chaps hanging around on a washing line. It's not even a pun. It's nothing to do with suicide. I mean, these people will find it anywhere. If you showed a picture of a motorway bridge, will they assume that's suicide? Or a train moving, is that suicide? I mean, I had to sit through Keir Starmer's speech earlier. Do I complain that that is suicidal? I don't complain that that's suicidal. No one should listen to me. And neither should anyone really listen to this, because it truly undermines the message that she's trying to provide, which is that there is a mental health crisis out there. This has got nothing to do with it, however. If you want to draw attention to it with real statistics. Don't drag Ant and Dec in. Don't make something up as a grift for yourself. This is a nonsense. I mean, I'm almost angry about it, really, because I'm like, come on. And the fact that they've had to apologise.
I find it irritating. I think this is, as I say, I just think this is offence archaeology. In PR Week, the magazine Public Relations Week, their headline, comms professionals, communications professionals have spoken out on LinkedIn after a social media video promoting Ant and Dec's new podcast. The headline is Ant and Dec campaign. Not just clumsy, but careless. I don't think it's either clumsy or careless. It's an amusing image. And as you say, I mean, Ant and Dec, you know, probably counting the dollars more than anything else. Rather than stick around with this video and make a stand, they immediately pulled it down, axed it, and said, "We did not mean to cause any offence with this promo video, and we are very sorry if it upset anyone." Well, I would say that I understand what they're doing, but the kind of people that seem to be upset with this are the kind of people who are always upset about absolutely everything and always looking for something to be upset by. This is two comedians hanging on a washing line. When was the last time, Paul, to your knowledge, that somebody successfully committed suicide by hanging themselves from a washing line?
Well, I did some pretty extensive research before coming on the show, Kevin, as you'd expect from me. You know, I'm a diligent
Of course, that's why I have you on, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And my understanding is absolutely no one has ever managed to do that. And of course they haven't. They haven't at all. And by the way, the thing to remember here is, let's say there was one, maybe 3 people offended when they saw this, out of the thousands, hundreds of thousands that would have seen it. They've now managed to make more and more people offended by highlighting it to them through the prism of this suicide business. And they've achieved that. Ant and Dec have not achieved that. This has taken on a mind of its own thanks to their grift. This is madness. And when you first asked me the question, I said, I think these days will slowly be behind us. We are getting to that point. I think people are starting now to wake up to it, at least, or at least, even if they're not waking up to it, they're not afraid to say they're fed up with it, because we need a stronger attitude towards life than this, don't we, Kevin?
Yes, we do. Yeah, that's it. We've got to stop being so soppy. This is silly. It's soppy. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. That said, Paul, I should put out to people who maybe suffer from mental health issues, who maybe have endured suicidal thoughts. I mean, are we wrong here, folks? Are we being, me and Paul, are we being too insensitive? Is it right that Ant and Dec apologised and pulled this video down, hanging out with Ant and Dec, the two of them hanging from a washing line, apparently a disgracefully insensitive image evoking suicide? Is it? I mean, are Paul and I wrong to say this is pathetic and soppy and frankly offence archaeology, people looking for something to be upset about? Which side of the fence are you on? 03444 991 1000. Next time, you got any gigs coming up, Paul?
No, but what I would like to point people towards, well, I have got gigs coming up. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't get to pay them all.
Never again.
But I'd like to point people towards my YouTube, if possible, Kevin, at Paul Cox Comedy. That'd be great if you could subscribe there.
At Paul Cox Comedy, have a look at that. And here's how, the reason I was asking you about that, here's how you should promote it. Get yourself on a washing line, hang up there and say, watch Paul Cox. There you go, watch Paul Cox on YouTube.
Kevin, I wonder if it's worth pointing out, because you are right to take this absolutely seriously and ask the question against us. You should do that. But for those who are listening on the radio rather than watching this, they are being pegged to the line by the shoulders on pegs. That line is nowhere near where it needs to be if you wanted to commit suicide. And don't blame Ant and Dec here. Never blame Ant and Dec for this, because that's this nonsense.
I think that Ant and Dec were probably thinking, oh my God, this modern world, I guess we got it wrong again. There's nothing that a certain kind of person won't find offence in, and this is an egregious example, if you ask me. Paul, great to talk to you, as always. Thanks for coming on. Paul Cox, their comedian. Do you share his and my view that this is ridiculous? This is looking for trouble, looking for offence? Or are Paul and I being insensitive? Were Ant and Dec insensitive? Was this suicide imagery insensitively evoked? Let me know. 03444 991 1000. When we come back, your calls, read a couple of messages as well. Don't forget, we've got more calls coming up later in the show. It'll be Kinsey Schofield after the 9 o'clock news with the latest goings on Planet Harry and Meghan. We're going to play you a lovely footage of the gruesome twosome dancing. They're so in love. We'll play that after the 9 o'clock news. But in the meantime, your calls. We'll talk after these messages. It's good to talk on Talk. Stick around.
problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Great text from Mark in Norwich. He said, Kev, why are they having a go at poor Anton Deck? Come on, Kev, give me an answer. Don't leave me hanging. Right, let me know what you think about Ant Deck, though. You know, was that insensitive? Evoking suicide image hanging from a washing line? Whoever committed suicide hanging from a washing line? 03444991000. Someone will call in and say, actually, it's quite a common method of suicide. You're not even allowed to say suicide these days, are you? Anyway, we've been saying it, so it's a bit late. Right, competition time. Time now to find out how you could be in with a chance of winning a trip of a lifetime to San Francisco. Talk is giving away flights, a free night stay at a 4-star intercontinental hotel, and £2,500 spending money, plus tickets to the Super Bowl to top it all off. Listen to find out how you can enter.
For your chance to win, text TALK to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343-418-7260. Lines close 22nd January 2026, 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at TalkSport.com. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now.
You don't want to miss out on the trip of a lifetime, so good luck. Now let's go to the phones. We've just got time to speak to regular caller, always a good caller, Herbie in Harrow. Herbie, how you doing? You want to talk about that woman and her obsessional hatred of flags?
Oh, God almighty, Kevin, what is this country coming to? Look, if she doesn't like our flag, why don't she go to North Korea, go to China, go to Moscow and say, I'm going to remove your flag so I don't like them. See what it's for then. Then she'll find out what it's for God's sake.
Yeah, our reporter, I'll tell you what's interesting, our reporter who went to see Ms. Pressel, Susanna Pressel in Oxford, she gave him short shrift, as you might imagine. He went out on the streets and spoke to local people, and in fact, happened to bump into a student at Oxford University who turned out to be Chinese, and he said, "What do you think about Britain and flags, and should we be proud? Why are we so ashamed of your flags?" He said, "I'm from China, and when I see the Chinese flag, I'm proud. I feel proud."
Yes.
And he said, I think British people should be proud of their flags. It's not rocket science, is it? I mean, why do you think it is, Herbie, that people like Susanna Pressel, these left-wing socialists, somehow seem to despise our national flags, the Union Jack and the St George's Cross flag here in England? Why don't they like it?
Kevin, look, they want to appease their followers, their left-wingers that do not like our national flag of any description, or even England as any description. It pleases them to get the publicity that they're doing something to try and remove and stop flying our flags. There's nothing else in it. Why, if she doesn't like it here, go away, go over to these other places and live and create merry hell. Look, we're happy with our flag. If you don't like it, you don't have to sit there and watch it or do anything with it. Just shut up and carry on doing something for the nation for a change, rather than worrying about a bloody flag flying in the flagpole.
And what did she call? She called the people who put up flags repeatedly. So what she was particularly furious about was they put up flags all over Oxford, particularly outside Oxford County Hall, and the authorities, as is their wont, pulled them all down. And then the Raising the Colours guys and women went back and put them back up. She was particularly furious with the re-flying of the flags. She called on the police to lie in wait and, I quote, nab the bastards. So she thinks people who hang flags are bastards, our national flags, and also she called the fact that they were particularly active outside County Hall, putting the flags back up as soon as they were pulled down, as she classified that as absolutely appalling. I mean, I think this woman, if nothing else, she needs to get a life, doesn't she?
Kevin, your hall, your county hall or town hall should be flying our flag.
There is that. It's a good point.
They should be flying our flag. No other flag other than the Union Jack or what's it, George Flag. They can't carry on. I get so wound up.
Yeah, I know you do, mate. I know you. I'm with you all the way, Herbie. I think you and I are on the same page on this. So are the rest of the audience. Herbie, always great to hear from you. Thanks, mate. Herbie in Harrow. Let's quickly talk to Kevin in Dorset. He wants to talk about Craig Guilford. You think Craig Guilford, the West Midlands Police Chief, or the former West Midlands Police Chief, Kev, needs to be held responsible. I agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we've got here, well, we know what we've got here without me saying it, but I think the best form of action is, okay, Mr. Policeman, we apologise for asking you to retire early, so you didn't get in trouble. So we'll reinstate you, and then in 1 month's time, we're going to sack you for gross misconduct. Equally along that, because it is gross misconduct for what he's done. Yeah.
I agree. He's now, what do you think of the fact he's now, having been forced to retire on Friday, which enraged everyone because the guy deserves the humiliation of dismissal, so he's going to go off with full pension. What do you think of the fact, very quickly, Kev, that he's now threatening to sue for constructive dismissal? He wants like a six-figure payout as well. He's got no shame, has he?
He's got no shame. The trouble is, our woke society has given him a case to do it.
Exactly.
Because he has been forced to resign from that. And that's why I'm saying they should just redact it and say, OK, you've got a good point. You don't need to resign. You come back on board, and then we'll deal with the matter that
he should have been fired, and he should be told to get lost in terms of this compensation claim. Thank you very much, Kev. Stay tuned. Kinsey Schofield next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In 25 minutes or so, I'll be taking your calls. The floor will be open. 0344 499 1000. What's going on with that Labour veteran councillor in Oxford who thinks that patriots who put up the Union Jack and the St George's flags are bastards who should be prosecuted, should be arrested by the police. The police should lie in wait and nab them, arrest them. She thinks that putting flags, patriotic flags outside of Oxford County Hall is absolutely appalling. What's wrong with that woman? 0344 499 1000. Plus, brave nurse Jennifer Melley was in the studio a little while ago at 8 o'clock, as you heard. She's got her disciplinary hearing tomorrow. She's facing the sack and being struck off as a nurse because she refused to call a racist paedophile by his preferred pronouns. He was pretending he was a woman. He wanted to be called her and she. Jennifer Melley said, no, I'm not going to do that. It clashes with my religious beliefs, my Christianity. I can't do that. I'll call you a name. What would you like me to call you? At that point, he lunged at her, tried to physically attack her, call her the N-word 3 times. And for that, she was suspended and remains suspended after 2 years. And tomorrow, she has her disciplinary hearing, and the chances are she could be sacked from St Helier Hospital, where she's been a devoted nurse, a dedicated nurse for 12 years, really good nurse, and could be struck off as a nurse. For what do they call it? Misgendering a racist paedophile prisoner. The NHS supporting the racist paedophile prisoner bloke over its excellent nurse Jennifer Melley. What do you think about that? 0344 499 1000. Craig Guilford, the West Midlands cop, the Chief Constable who was forced to retire on Friday after cravenly skipping to the Muslim beat and ignoring the welfare of the Jewish community in Birmingham. He is threatening to sue for constructive dismissal. He basically wants a massive, great financial payout. He's lied and lied and lied about why he banned the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Does he deserve a big 6-figure payout? Does he deserve that? What do you think? 0344 499 1000. You might want to call up about Anton Deck if you like. Should they have apologised for that imagery of them hanging off a washing line to promote their new video, their new podcast, Hanging Out with Anton Deck? Should they apologise for that? Did that evoke suicide imagery? A couple of guys hanging off a washing line? Really? 0344 499 1000. Right. Time now to talk about the royals, specifically Harry and Meghan. We're going to go straight over live to the west coast of America to talk to our brilliant royal guru, and she is the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Kinsey Schofield, welcome, Kins.
Hi, Kev. Not a day goes by where Meghan Markle isn't trying to promote something.
Yes, it's something, yeah, herself, usually. Now, in a minute, we'll get to the fact that Harry is in London at the moment, pursuing his latest legal battle, this one against the Daily Mail, saying that they hacked his phone and all that, his usual complaint. We'll get to that in a minute. It's quite interesting because it doesn't look as if, considering we've been reading all these stories about how the rift between King Charles and his younger son Harry has been healed, rapprochement, it's all going to be a reconciliation, we're back together, all is forgiven and forgotten. Well, he's not going to see his dad apparently during this visit to London, so he'll only be about a mile away. So what's going on there? We'll talk about that in a little while. But I sent you this video on Friday night because I'd never seen anything quite so strange in all my life. I was thinking, what the hell is going on here? You explained, or you came up with a reason that does kind of explain it. But this was posted, folks, on Instagram on Friday night. Watch this if you're watching on YouTube. It's basically the gruesome twosome Harry and Meghan dancing outside in their Montecito palace, and they said it's in black and white. There they are. There, watch this. Have a look at this if you're watching it. Very strange, very strange. Oh, they're so in love, aren't they? Oh, isn't that excuse me, pass the Kleenex. I think I'm going to cry for all the wrong reasons. Look at this. They must have practiced this for days on end. Look at it. Look at it. If you're watching, this is very intricate sort of choreography here. They didn't do this overnight. And what they said, it's in black and white. And what they said was their little kid, Lilibet, their little girl, sort of absent-mindedly filmed this while their parents were spontaneously dancing out of sheer love for each other in the sunshine at Montecito. If you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you in Florida. This is a very carefully filmed bit of footage. They practiced this for days on end, and I was thinking, what on earth is this all about? And I sent it to you, and you said, well, you know, there's been a week of speculation that all is not well in their marriage, that Harry wants to spend more and more time back in Britain, wants to repair his relationship with the King and William so that he can do frontline duties back. In other words, spend much more time back in Britain. She doesn't like Britain. She does, you know, therefore, it will put a strain on the marriage. American outlets actually going so far as to suggest divorce might be in the air. I didn't suggest that. We didn't suggest that, because I think the one thing you can say about Harry is he's besotted with Meghan, and I don't think they'll be splitting anytime soon. But you said, and I immediately it all fell into place, this is to hit back at the talk that their marriage might be in a bit of trouble. They post on Instagram, look at them, they said, look, Romeo and Juliet dancing together, isn't it fantastic? It's just a classic bit of Meghan and Harry hitting back at stories they don't like, right?
Yeah, I think that one of my biggest observations about their PR strategy over the last 5 years, through the avalanche of publicists that they've burned through, is that they tend to focus on being reactive in their PR strategy instead of proactive. And that, to me, is an example of Meghan clapping back at all of the headlines that are talking about tensions within their relationship. And we do stress, while we read the quotes and we listen to the sources and we dissect these stories, we've both said we're not waiting for the divorce to happen within the next 12 months. That's not where our head is. But we're also old enough to remember the whispers taking place surrounding the marriage between Prince Charles and Princess Diana. And for years, they dismissed that as gossip and, irrelevant chatter, when in reality, they didn't like each other and were preparing to get a divorce. So I think historically, it's fair to have those conversations. But I'd also point out that Catherine last year, post-cancer, posted a really sweet picture of herself in the woods, and she looks just so carefree and full of hope and joy and thankful that she was in remission. And underneath that, the caption where she's talking about spending more time outside and being grateful for her health, she credits Prince Louis as taking the photo. It's just another example of Meghan Markle. When she's not wearing the skin of Diana, she's competing with the Princess of Wales, Catherine, and trying to tell us that her 4-year-old is the videographer behind the magic. It's just her desperate to cosplay as the Princess of Wales.
Now, I don't know much about dancing, although I'm a really good dancer. Everybody says so. That's a lie. But I don't know much about dancing, but I'm looking at that routine here, if you're watching again. It goes on for 45 seconds to a minute.
I mean, obviously,
it's very
these guys
intricate. My point is, Kinsey, that would have taken days to practice that, wouldn't it?
these are two people that obviously watched a YouTube tutorial. Like, okay, we get it. During COVID, you guys had nothing else to do but smoke a lot of weed and watch YouTube tutorials.
I'd be Harry, not necessarily Meghan, of course.
Have you met Doria? I don't know.
Well, look, we know Harry smokes dope. We don't know Meghan does. That's all I'd say.
At Meghan and Trevor's wedding, they had weed on the tables.
Oh, did they now?
In Jamaica.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, all right. Anyway, this took a long time to prepare, didn't it, this video? And as I say, if that was just sort of offhandedly filmed by 4-year-old Lilibet, you know, just happened to catch it on camera. If you believe that story, as I said, I've got some swampland to sell you in Florida. That is carefully choreographed. They've rehearsed that for days, and it has been carefully caught on camera, right?
We didn't see those moves at the Kardashian party. So, yeah, I think that this is something that they've practiced at home. Under what circumstances, I'm not sure. But I do feel like the objective in sharing this post is all is well at the Montecito Mansion. Stop whispering about my relationship.
Yeah, and as I say, from yours and my point of view, we never said divorce and we never said split. We said that, and this is, I think, is fair speculation, fair reporting. We said that because of Harry's quite obvious desire to heal the rift with his family, to mend the bridges with his dad, the king, and to spend more time in Britain because he's homesick, he misses his mates, and he wants to perform royal duties. I don't think he ever will be allowed to. William won't let him. That's not the point. He wants to do all of that. And Meghan, she sees their future as an all-American future. She doesn't like this. And the word is that has put a bit of a strain on their relationship. And you can imagine that would be the case. That's all we've said. We didn't say they're heading for divorce. I think that's going over the top.
And we're also reporting, we're presenting stories that are currently circulating.
Exactly right. Radar Online in particular.
These are not our sources. We are repeating stories that are currently in print.
Have been reported
in the United States.
Yeah, it's being reported a lot. So that's what they're responding to. Not so much Kinsey and I.
No, I don't know. They do watch. They are fans.
Yeah, they're not fans. They watch. They're not fans. If you're watching Harry and Meghan, hi. Now, we'll get on to Harry in just a second, but we might as well stick with Meghan now. Oh, my God, it looks as if she may have hired her 12th publicist after the 11th, Meredith Maines. I think it was last week it was reported that their latest head of communications, Meredith Maines, was quitting. That brought to the total of quitting publicists that they've employed to the number to 11. And now what apparently the Duchess of Sussex has done, she's returned to the celebrity public relations firm that she used as an actress when she was in Suits. This is a company called Sunshine, Sachs, Morgan and Lillis. SSML for short, and she's hired them, or rehired them if you like, to publicise her As Ever brand as well as her other work. So a 12th publicist for Meghan. Unbelievable. It's a dozen.
I mean, I have said this before. I will say it again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I really have some serious sympathy for whoever takes this account at Sunshine Sachs. You know, this is discussed in Tom Bower's Revenge as well as Valentine Lowe's Courtiers. Meghan erupted after her 2017 Vanity Fair cover ran with the headline, "She's just wild about Harry." She picked up the phone and chastised Ken Sunshine and Kaylee Thomas Morgan. She was so irate. She also later described the headline as racist, citing its link to the 1939 Judy Garland song, song associated with blackface. And, you know, remember when Diana had Harry, Wild About Harry was the headline too. So this had nothing to do with Judy Garland blackface. It's just an iconic song, and Harry's got a cute name, Wild About Harry. It works. So, you know, time heals all wounds, apparently, for Sunshine Sachs, because they took Meghan back onto their roster. For how long, I don't know. And I'm curious to see what the strategy is here, because like I said, they're very reactive. They need to be more proactive. Sunshine Sachs talks a lot about working with clients to develop, you know, their legacy and the long form relationships that are required. And these two are... The Hollywood Reporter said something mean, so we better call Us Weekly, and we better make all of our employees say something nice about Us Weekly. They're not, they don't seem to want to commit to the long term when it comes to anything. Ask Senabale, ask Meghan's Shop My page that no longer exists. So there would have to be a very serious commitment here for Sunshine Sachs to make any sort of positive headway when it comes to the Sussex brand. But I would also stress that Sunshine Sachs has the resume. I did a lot of research on their wins to try to determine what they might do to change people's perception of Harry and Meghan. And they have so many incredible wins, so much really, really pure talent on their roster, that if this is a failed experiment, part 2, then it does boil down to Harry and Meghan's bad behavior and has nothing to do with the capability and authority of Sunshine Sachs, because that is something that they have without a doubt.
This was a story published in the Daily Telegraph over here, and a well-placed source apparently told the Telegraph SSML, that is this company, Sunshine Sachs, Morgan and Lillis, has been working on projects off and on with the Duke and Duchess since 2017. Sunshine is currently working alongside their internal team on As Ever, with the couple on efforts specifically in the US. Now, if that's a reference to As Ever, to sales of As Ever specifically in America, which as of now is the only place you can buy As Ever products, that tends to fly in the face of what we were told, I think it was 2 weeks ago, those stories saying that Meghan is sitting on a massive mountain of 572,000 unsold products, from cookie dough to dried flowers to jam to marmalade to wine and candles, that she's sitting on 572,000 of these items unsold. The story we were told, oh, well, that's because she's just about to go international. She's stocked up to go global with As Ever. So this could be a slightly misleading quote, but if the quote is that SSML are going to work with the gruesome couple, or particularly with Meghan, on As Ever, specifically in the US, in the USA, that kind of clashes with that going global story, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, different countries have different requirements when it comes to food exposure, food mixing, food containers.
Yeah,
so
true,
I think it's harder than she understands if she wants to make it an international product. I think it's going to require more due diligence from her team. If I'm to believe Sunshine Sachs has anything to do with As Ever, throughout my research, they do have a specialization in influencing and in content creators, and we have seen an uptick in distribution. Involuntarily, people are receiving As Ever products sent to their door, and they're posting about it on social media. Perhaps that's their influence, you know, the Sunshine Sachs agency's influence. But when we first started discussing Meghan signing with Ari Emanuel, one of the conversations we had was about how much potential this was for her, that Ari is with one of the biggest agencies in Los Angeles, William Morris Endeavor, and that this could create a lot of opportunities for Meghan collaboration-wise. You know, he could pick up the phone and call one of his other A-list high-profile, or I shouldn't say other, because I don't believe Meghan is an A-list high-profile client anymore, although she used to be. But he could call up one of his high-profile clients and say, do me a favor and appear on Meghan Markle's podcast or show. That never materialized. I mean, at the height of season 2, Meghan Markle got the internet's favorite cyberbully, Chrissy Teigen, and that is not something to write home about. And it also makes you wonder how heavily involved Sunshine Sachs truly is with people like Leonardo DiCaprio, Jimmy Fallon, you name it. They have so many great people that they represent at Sunshine Sachs, along with corporations like HBO doing HBO's Emmy campaign for them for Succession and White Lotus. It makes you wonder truly how involved are they, or have they been, because they could create some of those collaborations or partnerships as well, where they bring on another high profile client to do something nice with Meghan. It makes you sit back and think, are people saying no? I don't want to be associated with Harry and Meghan. Their brand is toxic. They lower my value. So no, I'm not going to do you this favor, and I'm not going to do you this solid.
And of course, in terms of that saga of the mountain of allegedly unsold as ever products, 572,000 of them, you know, gathering cobwebs, according to one story in a huge warehouse. This was on Reddit, or this story emerged on Reddit, that investigators, or self-styled investigators, had managed to elicit from As Ever the fact that there was all this unsold products. They got the exact numbers of unsold products, and literally the next day, after this story came out, you know, sources close to Meghan saying no such thing, no, it's not that they're not unsold, it's not that they're not sold. She sold 1 million jars of jam. Yeah, really? And these products, the massive stockpile of products, were being built up so that she could go global. That's what we were told. One day after the negative story comes the hit back. Classic Meghan. The question is which story do you believe? I think you and I agreed last week. We believe the first story, that she's got 572,000 hideously overpriced, mundane domestic products that she can't flog.
I mean, if she didn't, I wouldn't be receiving product in my door. It wouldn't be available to me for people to troll me with. So, yeah, I think that there is not a lot of interest in As Ever products. If there were, we would have seen a spike around the holiday season, and the only person I saw giving Meghan a shout out throughout the holiday season was Oprah Winfrey, and that was a blink and you'll miss it favorite things list.
Yeah, and then you got the Godmother's shop in upscale store in Montecito, which had an actual live display of her As Ever products available for the well-heeled residents of Montecito to pop in and actually buy, and no one bought any of it. The only person that bought any of it was Jan Muir from the Daily Mail, who bought them for a story, for a feature. So all in all, I would say As Ever products are not shifting. So we'll watch that situation with great interest. Watch this space, as they say. Finally, Kinsey, the Duke of Sussex, Harry, is in London, here in London as we speak. He's arrived for his latest legal battle. This one is against the Daily Mail newspaper, accusing them of hacking his phone and making him feel paranoid beyond belief. He is joined by 6 other well-known claimants: Sir Elton John, his husband David Furnish, campaigner Baroness Doreen Lawrence, politician Sir Simon Hughes, and actresses Sadie Frost and Liz Hurley. They all allege that the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail had a practice of clear, systematic and sustained use of unlawful information gathering, which the Daily Mail and Mail vehemently deny, and they call these allegations preposterous. So the Mail is defending them all the way. Wouldn't be right for us to comment on the details of the case because it's an ongoing legal case. So we'll leave the courts to talk about that and to decide what the truth is here. But what is worth talking about, what is valid to talk about, is a guy who for the last 3 weeks clearly has been placing strategically stories in the press left, right and centre. Yeah, me and the King, we're like that again. I'm coming back. Yeah, it's all the bridges are going to be mended. I'm going to be forgiven and forgotten. I'm going to be performing royal duties again, frontline duties, half in, half out. I'll come back to Britain, see me mates, open a few libraries, go back, smoke some weed in Montecito, then back to Britain. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. King, me and Charles, all repaired, all differences forgotten. So here he is in London. The High Court is, let me think about this, around about, it's probably less than a mile from Clarence House, the King Charles's official London residence, maybe a mile at best. Very, very close. You could walk there in 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. No plans, apparently, for the King to see his second son. They won't be meeting up. Doesn't sound to me like much of a royal rapprochement. No reconciliation happening now. What do you think, Kinsey?
Well, the King and Prince William and Catherine are all in Scotland. Sounds like they're trying to get the hell out of Dodge. Sounds like they don't want anything to do with Harry while he's here. And this is a pattern we've seen with the British royal family. When Harry is in the UK and he's in court, they do try to distance themselves. And I've been using this word a lot lately, so I apologize. But their presence alongside Harry legitimizes him, and they realize the influence that they have. And they realize that they need to be careful when Harry is in the country duking it out legally, that they don't have an influence in any way, shape, or form. So they do try to avoid him like the plague.
Yeah, and as we've discussed before, Kinsey, if there is to be any, put it this way, Harry's plans, his dreams of some kind of reconciliation, rapprochement with the royals he's so disgracefully treated, called racists, called them names in interviews and his nasty little book Spare. If the chances of any rapprochement, any forgive and forget, any reconciliation are pretty remote, and the main reason is William, his brother, who unlike...
No, that's the main reason is consequences have actions.
Yeah.
Harry has gone out of his way to do hurtful, and Brooklyn Beckham, please listen if you've put your Instagram down. Actions have consequences, and Harry was not considerate of his family's feelings when he unleashed on them. And that's why he's not making nice with his father and with his brother, because these are truly the consequences to his own actions. Selfless, vengeful, and totally destructive.
Exactly right. Well put, Kinsey. And I hadn't realised that the King and William and Kate had gone up to Scotland while Harry's in London. I suspect, Kinsey, that is sending the Duke of Sussex a very definite message. And on that bombshell, Kinsey, always great to talk to you. We'll talk again on Thursday. Fantastic stuff. Thank you. Kinsey Schofield over there in Los Angeles on the latest goings on with Harry and Meghan. You can call me about that if you like. 03444 991 1000. Let's go to break. When we come back, I'll be taking your calls. I'll read some messages, and I'm not sure if you've got any WhatsApp voice notes, but if we have, as I always say, I promise to play them out. So all that's still to come. Petri Hoskin will take over the helm of the Good Ship Talk at 10 p.m. and she'll take you through to the small hours to 1 a.m. Much still to come. Stick around. Be back in a mo.
problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'll tell you what we're going to do in a little while. I'm going to play you that audio again of Susanna Pressel. She is a Labour councillor. In fact, can we get that ready now, folks? And let's play it so that people can make up their own mind again. Now, we played this, well, almost at the beginning of the show. It's supposed to go out at the beginning. We took our time to get it out. But this is Labour councillor Susanna Pressel addressing an internal meeting of the Oxford Council, expressing her thoughts about the Raise the Colours patriots who've been putting up flags. So take it away, Susanna Pressel.
About the police, can they not trace people who are using social media, or if flags are repeatedly reinstalled after we remove them, can they not lie in wait and nab the reinstalling them so quickly? Because that's the sort of thing I would like to see from the police. Now, the ones outside County Hall, can we use our CCTV to identify who's doing that? Because that's absolutely appalling. And I think that might be enough questions to start with.
I like the fact that on that we bleep out bastards. We've been saying it all night, so perhaps she said, I'll do it myself. She said nab the... No, she said nab the bastards. So she calls people who put flags up, patriots who put up the Union Jack and the St George's Cross flag, bastards. She wants the police to lie in wait and nab them, and she thinks that the spectacle of flags being hung outside Oxford County Hall, national flags, our national flags, the spectacle of that, she believes, is absolutely appalling. Let me know what you think about this lady and that line of thinking, that people who put up national pride flags, the symbols of national pride, our national flags, patriotic flags, Union Jack and St George's Cross flag, they're bastards, and putting them up is absolutely appalling. What do you think about that? Labour through and through, isn't it? 0344 499 1000. Before we go to the phones, let's go to the WhatsApp voice notes. And this is Tristan on Jenrick's comments about Robert Jenrick when he went to Birmingham, to the Handsworth district, the area, and said that for an hour and a half he didn't see a single white face. Dismissed as awfully racist. But it's just a fact. It was a fact. Why can't you say facts? This is Tristan.
As regards to what you were saying about Robert Jenrick and what he actually did unearth in Birmingham, the problem we got now is his truth is hate speech. You can't say the truth, because if you say the truth, people get offended or people don't like it or whatever. So, but truth is hate speech. When it comes to immigration, when it comes to net zero, people don't like you to say the truth. And as I said, it is now hate speech and people get castigated for it. And that's where we are.
Tristan, exactly right. I should have brought in the hate speech element of it. You know, this is Robert Jenrick, goes to Handsworth and says, I didn't see a white face for an hour and a half. Now, that's not that surprising, because only 4% of the population, the residents of Handsworth, are what you might call, indigenous white British people, 96% are mostly Muslim, some people of colour. So it's mostly Muslim, very Muslim area. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, per se, if that community integrated well. Now, Robert Jenrick says the problem with that is it doesn't integrate. They become almost a nation in themselves. So that's what he was complaining about, not the existence of an area where there is a really, really large population of Islamic people, Muslims. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they don't integrate, if they live their own life, don't even speak English, some of them, that's what Robert Jenrick was complaining about. But as Tristan just said, in this day and age, you say the truth, that's a hate crime, isn't it? Right, let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Robert in Hertfordshire, who wants to talk about flags. What would you like to say, Robert?
Well, good evening.
Hello, mate. Yeah, hi.
What I'd like to say is, number one, we should ban the word racist. We should make it an offence to call someone a racist. I'm fed up with being called a racist by people who don't know me. I'm fed up with being called, racism. The word racism is a good word, it's a strong word, but it's being used so much that it's being diluted. Look, I would rather you call me the C word. Then I can at least call you it back. Yeah, but I can call you it back.
I wouldn't do that, Robert. One of the things about me, is I never swear.
Well, okay.
That's a bloody lie, by the way.
No, but the word is being used willy-nilly. It's being used to describe people who don't even know other people.
Totally right. Totally right.
And they describe me as racist. They don't even know me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you see, people like you and me, we get called racist because maybe we dare to perhaps have political opinions that might be deemed to be right of centre. So if you're right-wing, I don't consider myself to be right-wing. I certainly consider myself to be right of centre, but not right-wing. But that doesn't matter. If you're right of centre, there's a certain type of person, particularly a certain type of politician, who's going to call you a racist. Our friend Susanna Pressel, when interviewed by the Oxford Mail newspaper, said that the people who've been hanging Union Jacks and St George's flags in her street, in the road where she lives in Oxford, were racists. Why, if you hang the Union Jack, you fly the Union Jack or the St George's flag, would you in any way be considered to be a racist? Why is that racist, do you think, Robert?
Well, if you take a Union Jack flag down, that should be blasphemy straight away. If the Muslims can call, blasphemy does not belong just to Islam. It doesn't.
No, that's interesting.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're telling me or slagging my flag off, that's blasphemy.
By the way, the blasphemy doesn't even belong to Muslims because we do not have any blasphemy laws anymore. We repealed them; they don't exist. So they can go around saying you can't insult Muhammad or not that I would want to, by the way, but it's not against the law to insult Muhammad. It's not against the law to be blasphemous about God, Allah, all of our deities. It's not. So that's bad luck for them, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, Robert. The use banding around of the word racist and racism, we have to do something about it because it's being chucked around with gay abandon as if, it's or undermining the seriousness of the accusation. And to, like Lisa Nandy today, Robert, she basically said Reform UK were fascists. Again, the fascists, Nazis, calling anyone who's right of centre a fascist, a Nazi or a racist. It's almost a hobby for too many socialists, isn't it?
And homophobia. I don't mean, but I've got a lot of gay friends, but the word homophobia is overused.
All of these, and these people think it shuts down argument. Well, you just made the point that you're worried about the migrant crisis and the number of people coming across the channel illegally. That makes you a racist. You're racist. You shouldn't have said that. It's a method of them shutting down sensible debate, and it's got to stop. I agree with you, Robert. Great call. Thank you for ringing. Robert in Hertfordshire. He said we need to ban the word racist, or we certainly need to ban using the word racist in the manner that too many left-wing politicians, left-wing people do. Oh, you're right-wing, that means you're a racist. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You know, they love to say Nigel Farage is a racist. He's not a racist. He is not a racist. He's never said anything racist in his life. Look it up. But because he's worried about the number of illegal foreigners who come into this country, oh, well, if you worry about that, you're a racist. No, you're not. You're not. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Shall we? Let's go to break now. When we come back, more calls, more WhatsApp voice notes, a couple of messages as well.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, where do you stand on the Breckham family feud? Are you Team Brooklyn or are you Team David and Victor? Actually, don't ring in about that. God, if I read one more word about the Brooklyn family feud, I'm going to go mad. Really am. Don't ring in about that. 0344 499 1000. Now, we've still got lots of calls. We've still got lots of WhatsApp voice notes. Before that, though, got to remind you about this competition. Time now to find out how you could be in with a chance of winning a trip of a lifetime to San Francisco. Talk is giving away flights, a 3-night stay at a 4-star Intercontinental Hotel, and £2,500 spending money, plus tickets to the Super Bowl to top it all off. Listen to find out how you can enter.
For your chance to win, text TALK to 83338. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close 22nd January 2026, 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at TalkSport.com. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now.
You don't want to miss out on the trip of a lifetime, so good luck. Now, let's go straight back to the phones. Well, let me read a message first. This is about Craig Guilford. There's not a name on it, but it's quite a good message. Guilford, the complete worm, is now going to get effectively rewarded by the taxpayer for being not only completely incompetent, but negligent on his watch. This is just like every other taxpayer-funded institution in the UK. What's happening with that copper? He better not get any payout. If I was him, if you're listening, Craig, don't launch this action. Don't try and get constructive dismissal, because it will make people hate you even more than they already do. And people have despise you, and they have contempt for you because you've lied throughout this Maccabi Tel Aviv saga. You've lied about the reason you banned Jews from Birmingham, and you're still lying. So do yourself a favour. They allowed you to retire. You should have been humiliated by being sacked. Just disappear into the sunset and enjoy your 6-figure pension. Don't stir up the hornet's nest anymore. Really, don't do that to yourself. Take a tip. This is from Natasha, talking about the excellent nurse Jennifer Mellay. I used to be a nurse in the NHS but left because it became so woke. If Jennifer Mellay loses her job, I hope she sues. It's absolutely mad and despicable. Natasha, well said. Let's listen to a WhatsApp voice note. This is Richard on Tory defectors.
Really, the ultimate test of the Conservatives and the ultimate defector is probably Kemi Badenoch herself. If she really is deep down wet and one nation and generally fairly hopeless as a Tory, then fair enough, she'll be left in the party and probably lead it quite well and be in good company. But if she is actually secretly dyed-in-the-wool a true Tory, as she would have us believe, she's going to end up being like Captain Smith on the Titanic, going down with the ship, but this time all alone, because for once there are enough lifeboats, and she's not taking one. It could be quite bad for her. So we really need to know what Kemi Badenoch herself thinks.
Yeah, I'm not buying this whole Kemi Badenoch's played a blinder. She's navigated her way through these stormy waters with great skill and aplomb. She hasn't done a bad job, but it's a mess. It's a disaster for the Tories. 2 shadow cabinet ministers quitting within 3-4 days of each other. One on Thursday, the next one yesterday, Andrew Rossendale, Sunday. So 2, they're both shadow cabinet members, shadow cabinet ministers anyway. Robert Jenrick as shadow cabinet secretary, Rossendale a shadow cabinet minister. Both quit with him. There's no, like people trying to dress this up as if somehow it's great for the Tories. It's a disaster for the Tories. Kemi's done as good a job as she could have done, but don't get away from it. This is a catastrophe. People are deserting the sinking ship for sinking ship is what the Tories are now. There's no doubt about that. Shall we? Let's take a call. Let's go to Frank in Bristol, who wants to talk about the councillor in Oxford and flags. What would you like to say, Frank?
Hello, Kevin.
Hi.
The word racism. This woman, she doesn't like white people. She doesn't like English people. She doesn't like.
Well, that is what you might conclude that. We don't know. She did call.
No, not much.
She hasn't said I don't like white people. She hasn't said I don't like English people. She did say that people hanging flags in her street, Union Jackson, St George's flags, were racist. She called people who hang flags around County Hall, around Oxford, bastards who should be nabbed by the police, who should lie in wait and nab them. And she also said that the hanging of these flags outside County Hall was absolutely appalling. All of that, I think, adds up to not a very good optic for her.
I could take you to parts of Bristol where it is alive with Somalian flags.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Palestinian flags, Somalian flags. They're allowed, aren't they? They're allowed, yeah.
Nobody's ever said a word. Aren't they racist?
No, I don't think they're racist.
I said to someone the other day, Kevin, quickly, I said, I went to Johannesburg a couple of years ago. I said I could not believe the place, the utter, unadulterated racism of it. Do you know, it was full of black people. In Africa, of all places.
Who'd have thought it? That must have been a shock.
In Africa. Oh, absolutely horrendous. I was so offended. And
you're being ironic, aren't you, Frank? I've got to point out that you're having a laugh here. Otherwise, people will think you're actually a racist. No, you've got to be careful here. Some people can be very literal-minded, Frank. We have to be careful. But yeah,
racism is a word that was created in the 1920s by the Russian Communist Party. That's when it actually originated from, and it was a word that was used to put people on a guilt trip.
Right.
And that is what it succeeded in doing. People are frightened to death to tell the truth.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that was the problem. Yeah, go on.
You've got nurses that don't want men, XY chromosome creatures, in their toilets and changing rooms with them. But they're the bad ones.
Yeah, they're the bad ones. And what about the nurse we had on earlier in the show, Jennifer Mellay, who refused to address a jailed paedophile, child sex abuser as his preferred pronouns, she and her. She's the one in trouble. He's not. He called her the N-word, tried to attack her. It's just everybody gets everything so badly wrong. We don't, you know, we attack the good guys and we defend the bad guys. It happens all the time, Frank. Good call. Got to go. Thanks for ringing, though, mate. Call me again. Frank in Bristol. Shall we? Yeah, let's go to break. When we come back, a little bit more, a few calls, and one more voice note. And with a bit of luck, I'll get some more messages in. So stay where you are. Stay tuned.
The problem with the Tory party is that a third of the Tory party basically should be in the Lib Dems. Another big chunk don't really care one way or another, are not waking up every morning driven by a deep desire to change the country, not angry at the state of the country. The party overall, particularly in Westminster, is unrepentant for the mistakes it's made, and it will never be able to move on. I think this is why it is going to die as a political organisation, because it can't accept that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Back to the phones in just a second. First, our final WhatsApp voice note. This is Jess on Ant and Dec.
So a bit of insight. I've got bipolar. I frequently have suicidal thoughts. I'm classed as passively suicidal. And I looked at that picture. I had to have a look after you mentioned it and listened to it on the radio. And I looked at it, and from a perspective of someone that suffers from mental health, I saw nothing wrong with that. People are so bloody weak nowadays.
That is exactly, thank you, Jess. That is exactly the kind of message that I hoped I would receive and expected to receive, because it's common sense. You know, I didn't want to sort of trample over the possible fact that maybe Ant and Dec did offend, you know, people with suicidal tendencies or mental health difficulties, but them hanging off a washing line, come on, that's just taking it too far. Jess, I think, who's just said that she has had mental health issues, she's got bipolar, saying exactly what I thought that a sensible person would say. Don't see anything wrong with this. This was offence archaeology, folks. Quick couple more messages. This is Rosa. First cousin marriage is 15% child abuse. It's Andy from Liverpool, actually. And what he means there is that 15% of children born of first cousin marriages, a Muslim tradition, are born with birth defects. And we haven't banned that. It's just unbelievable. Johnny S. says, I wonder what this woman thinks about hanging and parading Palestinian flags and Pakistani flags. Johnny, you're right. Everywhere you go, Palestinian flags, oh, we love them. Oh, Pakistani flags, brilliant. If it's a Union Jack or a St George's Cross, get rid of it. Absolutely appalling. Absolute disgrace. This is from Amanda. The actions of the Oxford councillor who objects to our flag being raised bring shame on our country and the greatest disrespect to those who died for our patriotic beliefs. Well said, Amanda. Very well said. Let's... we've got plenty of time. Let's talk to... Georgina in London is standing by. We'll go to her in just a second. But first, Mandy from Felixstowe. You want to talk about Craig Guilford, Mandy? What would you like to say?
Evening, Kevin. Not many things leave me speechless, but the fact he has the gall to be offered just to take retirement, which he can go back after a couple of years, is beyond a joke. If that's the case, can we do the same with Mike Graham? Can he sue?
No, he can't.
It is beyond a joke. He should have been sacked from the word go. None of this pandering by the Labour Party.
Yeah, he won't go back. He can't go back because he's already done that deal. This is where top cops actually resign and then they're immediately rehired in order to protect their pensions. So he's done that. He did that in, I think it was 2024, so 2 years ago.
Oh, that I hadn't realised.
So he's already done that. He was forced to retire on Friday, and most people think that was way too kind to him because he's got his full pension rights, six-figure pension, and he can't come back though. But now he's going to sue apparently for constructive dismissal because he wants compensation. He shouldn't get a penny. He shouldn't get a penny.
No, he shouldn't get a penny at all.
Absolutely.
And think of those poor Jewish people that ended up in cages.
He went... that's
right. They demand that money, or they deserve that money, not him.
Yeah.
It's them, his pension.
I agree with you, Mandy.
He's a downright disgust, he is.
He's a disgrace. Totally couldn't agree with you more. Mandy, great call. Got to move on. Mandy in Felixstowe. Hang on. We've got Georgina. Where's Georgina? Are you there, Georgina? Get Georgie. We're getting Georgina back. She's just slipped off just as I was going to get her on. Here she is. Georgina, hello.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm very well. Flags, what would you like to say?
Well, I'd like to say that I don't know why these people like Susanna Pressel actually want to live in Britain. What is it about our flag that offends them? I'm sure, like everyone else has said, if it had been a Palestinian flag, there wouldn't have been a problem. These people seem to be offended by everything and ashamed of nothing. It's about time that these virtue signalling, box-ticking individuals actually started